When a booking mix-up left them sharing one bed, Maya thought it would be the most awkward weekend of her life. She had no idea it would be the beginning of everything. Maya checked her phone for the 10th time in 5 minutes. The message was, still there, glowing on her screen like a bad joke. Her best friend from college had to cancel their weekend trip because her mom was sick. 3 years of planning this getaway, and now she was stuck with a non-refundable booking at some fancy mountain resort. She sat at her desk, staring at the confirmation email. 2 days in a beautiful cabin by the lake, all paid for and nobody to go with. Her coworkers were busy chatting about their weekend plans, while she wondered if she should just go alone or lose the money completely. Everything okay? She looked up to see David standing by her desk with 2 cups of coffee. He did this every Friday, brought her favorite vanilla latte without being asked. He was one of those rare people who actually listened when you talked, remembered small details, and never made you feel stupid for asking questions. My friend canceled our trip, Maya said, accepting the coffee gratefully. Now I'm stuck with this expensive booking and nobody to go with. David sat on the edge of her desk, something that would have annoyed her if anyone else did it. But he had this calm energy that made everything feel more relaxed. Where were you supposed to go? Some resort up in the mountains. 3 hours drive. It's supposed to be really nice, but now? She shrugged, trying not to look as disappointed as she felt. I could go with you. The words hung in the air between them. Maya blinked, wondering if she heard right. David was looking at her with those honest brown eyes, not joking around like some guys might. He was serious, as friends. He added quickly, you shouldn't lose all that money, and I don't have any plans this weekend. If you want company, I'm available. Maya had worked with David for almost 2 years. He was the guy who stayed, late to help when projects went wrong, who brought homemade cookies to team meetings, who remembered everyone's birthday. She knew he was single, knew he loved hiking and old movies, knew he had the most genuine laugh in the entire office. But they'd never hung out outside work. Are you sure? It's a whole weekend. I'm sure. Besides, I've been wanting to check out that area for hiking. We could split the gas money and just have a fun, relaxing time. Something warm spread through Maya's chest. Maybe this weekend wouldn't be a disaster after all. Okay, yes. That would be amazing, actually. They spent their lunch break looking at photos of the resort online. The cabin looked incredible, surrounded by tall pine trees with a perfect view of the lake. There was a fireplace, a hot tub on the deck, and hiking trails right outside the door. David got excited talking about the mountain paths they could explore. And Maya found herself looking forward to the trip more than she had when it was just her and her friend. Friday evening came faster than expected. Maya packed her bag 3 times, unsure what to bring for a weekend with a coworker. Casual clothes for hiking, something nice for dinner, extra layers because mountains got cold at night. She kept second-guessing herself, wondering if this was weird or if she was overthinking everything. David picked her up at 7, his car loaded with hiking gear and a cooler full of snacks. He'd even made a playlist for the drive, full of songs they both liked from their random conversations about music. The 3-hour trip flew by as they talked about everything and nothing, windows down, singing along to old songs they both knew by heart. The resort was even more beautiful in person. Tall trees everywhere, the sound of water lapping against the shore, and air so clean it made Maya's lungs feel brand new. David carried both their bags like it was nothing, which Maya noticed, but tried not to think too much about. The main building looked like something from a movie, all wood and stone with warm lights glowing in every window. Maya felt a little thrill of excitement as they walked up to the front desk. This was going to be perfect. The young woman behind the counter smiled brightly when they gave their names. She typed something into her computer, frowned, typed some more, then looked up with the kind of expression that meant bad news was coming. I'm so sorry, but there seems to be an issue with your reservation. Maya's heart sank. What kind of issue? Well, when your friend canceled, our system automatically adjusted the booking, but there was an error. Instead of keeping your 2-bedroom cabin, it switched you to our romance package. The woman's cheeks turned pink. You're booked into our honeymoon suite. Honeymoon suite? David repeated, and Maya could hear something strange in his voice. Yes, it's our most popular room. Beautiful lake view, private hot tub, king-size bed. The woman trailed off as she realized what she was saying. But don't worry, I can see if we have anything else available. Her fingers flew across the keyboard while Maya and David stood there in awkward silence. After what felt like forever, the woman looked up with an apologetic smile that told them everything they needed to know. I'm really sorry, but we're completely booked this weekend. There's a wedding happening tomorrow, so every room is taken. The only thing I can offer is to refund your money, but our cancellation policy means you'd only get back about 30%. Maya felt her weekend plans crumbling. Losing most of their money, driving 3 hours back home, explaining to everyone at work on Monday how their trip was a total failure. What exactly does the honeymoon suite include? David asked. Quietly, it's our nicest room. Huge windows overlooking the lake, stone fireplace, luxurious bathroom, private deck with hot tub, and, well, one very large, very comfortable bed. One bed. Maya's mind went completely blank. She glanced at David, who was studying the floor, like it held the answers to all of life's problems. We'll take it, he said. The room key felt heavy in Maya's hand as they walked down the hallway. David was being extra polite, carrying both bags and making small talk about the beautiful artwork on the walls. But she could tell he was nervous too. His voice had that slightly higher pitch it got during stressful meetings at work. When they reached room 247, Maya took a deep breath before sliding the key card. The door clicked open, and they both stepped inside. Wow, David said softly. The room was absolutely stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed off the lake view, where the last bits of sunset were painting the water orange and pink. A stone fireplace dominated one wall, with a cozy seating area arranged around it. Fresh flowers sat on a small dining table, and candles were placed strategically around the room. And right in the center of it all was the bed. Not just any bed, but a massive king-size bed with fluffy white pillows and a comforter that looked like a cloud. It seemed to take up half the room, impossible to ignore. Maya stood frozen in the doorway while David set their bags down near the closet. The silence stretched between them until it became almost funny. Here they were, two adults acting like they'd never seen furniture before. The couch looks comfortable, David said finally, nodding toward a small love seat by the window. It was beautiful, covered in soft blue fabric but clearly meant for cuddling, not sleeping. David was 6 feet tall. His legs would hang off the end by at least a foot. Don't be silly, Maya heard herself saying. You can't sleep on that thing, you'd be miserable. I'll be fine, really. I've slept in worse places. But Maya could see him eyeing the tiny couch with doubt. She felt terrible. This whole situation was her fault. If she hadn't suggested the trip, if she'd just canceled when her friend couldn't come, David wouldn't be stuck trying to fold himself into doll furniture for 2 nights. We're both adults, she said, surprising herself with how confident she sounded. We can share the bed, it's huge, and we're just friends. People share beds all the time without it being weird. David looked at her with those honest brown eyes. Are you sure? I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I'm sure. Besides, you brought me coffee every Friday for 2 years. I trust you. Something shifted in David's expression when she said that. A small smile, maybe relief. Okay, but I'm building a pillow wall down the middle, just to keep things professional. They spent the next hour settling in and trying to act normal. David unpacked his hiking gear while Maya arranged her clothes in the closet. They took turns admiring the view from the deck, where the hot tub bubbled invitingly under the stars. Everything felt surreal, like they were playing house in someone else's life. When it came time to get ready for bed, the awkwardness returned full force. Maya grabbed her pajamas and practically ran to the bathroom where she changed at record speed and brushed her teeth like she was training for the Olympics. When she came out, David was waiting with his own clothes and toiletries. Your turn, she said, diving under the covers on her side of the bed. While David was in the bathroom, Maya built the promised pillow wall. She used every spare pillow and cushion she could find, creating a barrier that would have made medieval castle builders proud. By the time David emerged in his plaid pajama pants and old college t-shirt, there was a clear division down the middle of the bed. "That's quite a wall," he said, trying not to smile. "It's a very professional wall," Maya replied, keeping her voice serious. "Strictly business." David climbed into his side of the bed, careful not to disturb the pillow barrier. Maya turned off the bedside lamp, leaving only the soft glow from the fireplace to light the room. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya lay on her back, staring at the ceiling and listening to David's breathing 3 feet away. She could smell his shampoo, something clean and woody that she'd never noticed at work. Every time he shifted position, she became hyper-aware of the movement on the other side of the pillows. This was ridiculous. They were friends, colleagues. She'd sat next to him in meetings hundreds of times without feeling weird about it. But somehow, lying in the dark with only a wall of pillows between them, everything felt different. "Maya?" David's voice was soft in the darkness. "Yeah? Thanks for letting me come with you. I know this isn't how you planned your weekend. Thanks for offering to come. I would have been pretty lonely up here by myself. Are you comfortable? The pillows aren't poking you or anything." She smiled in the dark. Even in this weird situation, he was worried about her comfort. "I'm fine. Are you okay over there? You're not falling off the edge, are you?" "I'm good. This bed is huge. I think we could fit 3 more people in here and still have room." They both laughed softly and some of the tension eased. Maya found herself relaxing for the first time since they'd arrived. "David?" "Yeah? This is probably the weirdest work trip ever." "Definitely, but also probably the most interesting." Maya turned onto her side, facing the pillow wall. She could see David's shape through the gaps between pillows, could hear him settling deeper into his pillow. Despite all the awkwardness, she felt safe, comfortable. Maybe this weekend wouldn't be a complete disaster after all. "Good night, Maya." "Good night, David." But sleep didn't come easily. Maya lay there for what felt like hours, listening to the lake lapping against the shore outside their window, thinking about how strange life could be. Yesterday, David was just the nice guy who brought her coffee. Tonight, he was sharing a bed with her in the most romantic room she'd ever seen. She wondered what tomorrow would bring. Maya woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of someone moving quietly around the room. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw David by the small kitchenette, fully dressed in hiking clothes, trying not to make noise as he prepared breakfast. The pillow wall had partially collapsed during the night. She must have moved around in her sleep, because some of the pillows were now on the floor and others were scattered across the bed. Embarrassingly, she had somehow migrated toward the middle, though thankfully David was already up and hadn't noticed. "Good morning," David said softly when he saw she was awake. "I made coffee. I found some pastries in the welcome basket too." Maya sat up, running her fingers through her messy hair. "What time is it?" 8:30. "I thought we could grab breakfast and then hit those hiking trails we looked up yesterday. The weather's perfect." She looked out the window at the clear, blue sky and felt her mood lift immediately. "That sounds amazing. Give me 10 minutes to get ready." During breakfast on their private deck, things felt more normal. The morning sunshine and fresh mountain air made the awkwardness of the night before seem silly. David told her about the trail map he'd studied, pointing out different routes they could take. Maya found herself laughing at his excitement, the way he got when he talked about things he loved. The hiking trail was everything David had promised. They walked through tall pine trees with sunlight filtering through the branches, creating patterns on the forest floor. Maya had never been much of a hiker, but David was patient, letting her set the pace and pointing out interesting plants and birds along the way. "How do you know so much about trees?" Maya asked as they stopped to rest on a fallen log. "My dad used to take me camping when I was a kid. He taught me about all this stuff. Said it was important to understand the world around you." David picked up a pine cone and turned it over in his hands. "I kind of forgot about it when I moved to the city, but being out here brings it all back." Maya watched him examine the pine cone, noticing the way his whole face lit up when he talked about his father. She'd never heard him mention his dad before at work. Do you still go camping with him? He passed away a few years ago, David said quietly. But yeah, we used to go every summer until I graduated college. I'm sorry. That must have been really special time together. It was. He looked up at her with a small smile. He would have loved this place. Always said the best conversations happen when you're walking. They continued up the trail, and David was right about the conversations. Something about moving through the forest together made talking easier. Maya found herself telling him about her complicated relationship with her family, how they never understood her decision to move to the city for work, instead of staying home and taking over the family business. They think I'm being selfish, she admitted as they reached a clearing with a beautiful view of the valley below. Maybe they're right. Following your dreams isn't selfish, David said firmly. You're good at what you do, really good. The company would be lost without you. Maya felt a warm flush at the compliment. David wasn't the type to say things he didn't mean. Thanks. That means a lot coming from you. They ate lunch by a small waterfall, sharing the sandwiches David had packed from the hotel. Maya watched him tear pieces of his sandwich to throw to the chipmunks, and something twisted pleasantly in her chest. He had the gentlest hands she'd ever seen on a man. The afternoon passed in a blur of beautiful scenery and easy conversation. They discovered they both loved old movies, especially the really bad sci-fi ones from the 70s. David did hilarious impressions of their boss that made Maya laugh so hard she nearly fell off a rock. Maya told him about her secret dream, to write children's books, something she'd never admitted to anyone. By the time they made it back to the cabin, they were both tired and happy. The sun was starting to set, painting everything golden. David suggested they build a fire and order room service, and Maya thought that sounded perfect. While David worked on getting the fire started, Maya called down for dinner. She found herself watching him arrange the logs, noting the way he moved with quiet confidence. When had she started noticing these things about him? Dinner arrived just as the fire began crackling properly. They spread everything out on the coffee table and ate sitting on the thick rug in front of the fireplace. The wine that came with their meal made them both a little giggly, and soon they were playing card games and telling embarrassing stories from their childhoods. I can't believe you got stuck in a tree for 4 hours, David laughed, dealing another hand of cards. I was 8, and it was a really tall tree, Maya protested, but she was laughing too. The fire department had to come get me down. My mom was so embarrassed. I bet you were fearless as a kid. I was stupid as a kid, there's a difference. David studied his cards, but Maya caught him glancing at her over the top of them. I don't think you were stupid. I think you were brave. There's a difference. Something in his voice made Maya look up. For a moment, they just looked at each other across the small table, the fire crackling softly beside them. Maya felt her heart do something complicated in her chest. Your turn, David said quietly, but he wasn't looking at the cards anymore. Maya realized she'd forgotten they were playing a game. Right, cards, my turn. But instead of looking at her hand, she found herself studying David's face in the firelight. She'd seen him almost every day for 2 years, but somehow, she'd never really looked at him, never noticed the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, or the small scar on his chin, or how his hair fell across his forehead when he concentrated. When had David become so attractive? Maya. Sorry. What? You were staring. Heat flooded her cheeks. No, I wasn't. I was just thinking. About what? About how different you look in firelight, she thought. About how I never noticed how nice your laugh is. About how safe I feel sitting here with you. About how strange this weekend has been, she said instead. David nodded slowly. Strange good or strange bad? Maya considered the question. 24 hours ago, she'd been dreading this trip. Now sitting by the fire with David, she couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Strange good, she said softly. When they finally went to bed, neither of them bothered rebuilding the pillow wall. They lay on their respective sides, but the barrier between them was gone. Maya found herself listening to David's breathing, wondering if he was having trouble falling asleep too. "David," she whispered. "Yeah? I'm really glad you came with me." "Me too, Maya. Me too." Maya woke up on Sunday morning to the sound of rain tapping against the windows. She opened her eyes slowly, feeling more rested than she had in months. The room was dim and cozy, with gray light filtering through the curtains. For a moment, she just lay there, listening to the peaceful sound of the storm. Then she realized she wasn't alone on her side of the bed. Sometime during the night, she had moved closer to the center. Much closer. Her hand was resting on David's chest, and she could feel his heart beating steadily under her palm. His arm was around her shoulders, holding her gently against his side. They were both still fully dressed in their pajamas, but they were definitely cuddling. Maya held perfectly still, afraid to wake him. This was not part of the plan. They were supposed to be friends, colleagues, nothing more. But lying there, and his arms felt so natural, so right, that she couldn't bring herself to pull away. David stirred slightly, his arm tightening around her for just a moment before he became fully awake. Maya felt his body tense as he realized their position. "Maya," he whispered, his voice rough with sleep. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "It's okay," she said softly, still not moving. "We were probably both cold." But they both knew that wasn't true. The room was perfectly warm, and they had been drawn together by something else entirely. David's hand moved gently through her hair, and Maya felt her breath catch. This was dangerous territory. They worked together. They had to see each other every day. Getting involved could complicate everything. But when David tilted her chin up so she was looking at him, Maya forgot all about being practical. "Maya," he said again, and this time her name sounded different in his voice. Softer. More important. "Yeah. I need to tell you something." Maya's heart started beating faster. She could see something in David's eyes that she'd never seen before, something that made her feel nervous and excited at the same time. "What?" David took a deep breath like he was gathering courage. "This weekend, spending time with you like this, it's made me realize something I probably should have figured out a long time ago." The rain continued pattering against the windows, creating a cocoon of privacy around them. Maya felt like the rest of the world had disappeared, leaving only this room, this moment, this conversation that felt like it might change everything. "I have feelings for you," David said quietly. "Real feelings, not just friendship. I've probably had them for months, but I was too scared to admit it, even to myself." Maya's heart did a complete flip in her chest. She stared at him, searching his face for any sign that he was joking or uncertain, but David looked completely serious, completely honest, completely vulnerable. "I know this complicates things," he continued. "I know we work together, and that makes it messy. And I know this weekend was supposed to be just a friendly favor, but I can't pretend anymore that being close to you doesn't affect me." Maya realized she had been holding her breath. She let it out slowly, her mind racing. David had feelings for her. David, who brought her coffee every Friday. David, who remembered her birthday and asked about her family and made her laugh during boring meetings. David, who had just spent 2 days being the most thoughtful, funny, gentle man she'd ever known. "Say something," David whispered, and Maya could hear the worry in his voice. "Please, even if it's to tell me I'm crazy." "You're not crazy," Maya said softly. Something hopeful flickered in David's eyes. "I'm not." "No, because I've been thinking the same thing." This time it was David's turn to stop breathing. "Really?" Maya nodded, suddenly feeling shy. "I kept telling myself it was just because of the situation. Being here together, sharing a bed, all of it. But it's not just that. It's you. The way you are. The way you make me feel." David's smile was like sunshine breaking through clouds. "How do I make you feel?" "Safe. Happy. Like I can be myself without worrying about it." Maya felt her cheeks getting warm. "And other things too." What other things? Instead of answering with words, Maya moved her hand from his chest to his face, tracing the line of his jaw with her fingertips. David closed his eyes at the touch, leaning into her hand. Maya, he breathed. I know it's complicated, she whispered. I know we have to figure out how to handle work and everything else, but I don't want to pretend this isn't happening. David opened his eyes and looked at her with such warmth that Maya felt it all the way to her toes. So, what do we do? I don't know, but maybe we can figure it out together. The rain was getting heavier, drumming against the roof and windows. Maya could hear thunder rumbling in the distance. It was the perfect day to stay inside, to stay exactly where they were. We should probably get up, David said, but he made no move to let go of her. Probably, Maya agreed, settling more comfortably against his chest. Checkout is in a few hours. We should pack. We should. But neither of them moved. Instead, they lay there listening to the storm, holding each other, trying to memorize this moment before they had to return to the real world. David? Yeah. When? We get back, how do we do this? How do we go from being co-workers to whatever this is? David was quiet for a moment, his fingers drawing gentle patterns on her arm, carefully, honestly, one day at a time. What if it doesn't work out? What if we try this and it ruins everything? What if we don't try and always wonder what might have been? Maya considered this. The safe choice would be to go back to being just friends, just colleagues. But looking at David, feeling the way her heart raced when he smiled at her, Maya realized that safety was overrated. Okay, she said. Okay, let's try. David's smile was worth every risk in the world. The rain was still falling when they finally had to check out. Maya and David packed their bags slowly, neither wanting to break the spell of their weekend together. Every few minutes, one of them would catch the other's eye and smile, still, a little amazed by everything that had changed between them. Ready? David asked, shouldering both their bags like he had when they arrived. But this time, Maya reached for his free hand, interlacing their fingers. The simple gesture felt both natural and thrilling. Ready, she said. The drive home was different from their trip up. The comfortable silence felt deeper now, charged with possibility. David had made a new playlist, softer songs that seemed to match the gray, rainy day. Maya found herself stealing glances at him as he drove, noticing things she'd somehow missed before. The way he hummed along to songs he liked. The careful way he drove in the rain. How he kept glancing at her too, like he couldn't quite believe she was really there. They were about an hour from home when David pulled into a rest stop. Coffee break? He suggested. But Maya could tell there was something else on his mind. They sat in his car in the parking lot, rain streaming down the windows, creating a private little world. David turned to face her, his expression serious. Maya, before we get back to the city, I want to talk about how we handle this at work. Maya had been dreading this conversation, but she knew it was necessary. What do you think we should do? I think we should keep it quiet for now. Not because I'm embarrassed or anything, but because he paused, running a hand through his hair. Because I want to protect this, I want to protect us. Office gossip can be brutal, and I don't want people making assumptions or creating drama before we even know what this is. Maya felt a wave of relief. She'd been thinking the same thing. So we act normal at work? Normal-ish. I mean, I'll probably still bring you coffee on Fridays. You better, Maya said, making him laugh. But maybe we don't mention that we went away together this weekend, at least not yet. What if people ask about my trip? Tell them your friend canceled, but you had a nice, relaxing time alone. Maya nodded. It wasn't lying exactly, just editing the truth. And what about us outside of work? David reached for her hand. Outside of work, I'd really like to take you on a proper date. Dinner, maybe a movie. Something where we get to be ourselves without worrying about hotel bookings or sleeping arrangements. I'd like that too. Tuesday night? It's a date. The last hour of the drive passed quickly. As they got closer to the city, Maya felt a mix of excitement and nervousness building in her stomach. Tomorrow was Monday. Tomorrow they'd be back in the office, pretending nothing had changed, while everything had changed. David pulled up in front of Maya's apartment building and helped her with her bag. They stood on the sidewalk in the drizzle, suddenly awkward again. How did you say goodbye to someone who had gone from being your coworker to something much more important in the span of 3 days? Thank you, Maya said finally. For coming with me, for making this weekend amazing, for everything. Thank you for letting me come, for trusting me. They looked at each other for a moment, rain droplets sparkling in Maya's hair. Then David stepped closer and cupped her face gently in his hand. Is this okay? He asked softly. Instead of answering, Maya rose up on her tiptoes and kissed him. It was their first real kiss, soft and sweet and perfect. Maya felt her heart flutter as David's arms came around her, pulling her closer. When they finally pulled apart, they were both smiling. I'll see you tomorrow, David said. See you tomorrow. Maya watched him drive away before going upstairs to her apartment. She spent the rest of Sunday unpacking and doing laundry, but her mind kept drifting back to the weekend. Every time she remembered David's laugh, or the way he'd looked at her by the fireplace, or how safe she'd felt waking up in his arms, she found herself grinning like a teenager. Monday morning came too soon. Maya chose her outfit carefully, wanting to look professional but not too different from usual. She didn't want to give anyone reason to ask questions. The office felt strange after their weekend away. Maya sat at her desk, trying to focus on her emails, hyper-aware of David's presence across the room. He was talking to their boss about a project deadline, looking completely normal and professional. If Maya didn't know better, she would never guess that just 24 hours ago they had been cuddled together in bed, confessing their feelings for each other. Around 10 o'clock, David appeared at her desk with 2 cups of coffee. Just like always. Vanilla latte, he said, setting it down next to her keyboard. Thanks, Maya replied, keeping her voice casual. But when their fingers brushed as she reached for the cup, she felt that familiar spark. How was your weekend? Asked Lisa from the next desk over. Did you still go on your trip after your friend canceled? Yeah, I went anyway. Very relaxing. Just me and some hiking trails. Good for you. I don't think I'd be brave enough to travel alone. Maya smiled and took a sip of her coffee. If only Lisa knew the truth. The day passed surprisingly normally. Maya and David interacted the same way they always had, professional and friendly. The only difference was the secret looks they shared when no one was watching, and the way Maya's heart raced every time David spoke in meetings. At 5 o'clock, Maya was packing up her things when her phone buzzed with a text. Still on for tomorrow night? I found a great Italian place downtown. Maya typed back quickly. Can't wait. As she walked to the elevator, David appeared beside her, along with 3 other co-workers. They all chatted about weekend plans and Monday morning complaints. To anyone watching, David and Maya were just colleagues sharing an elevator ride. But when the elevator stopped at Maya's floor and she got out, David caught her eye for just a moment. His smile was small and private, meant only for her. Have a good night, Maya, he said. You too, David. The elevator doors closed, and Maya walked to her car with a spring in her step. Tomorrow night couldn't come soon enough. 6 months later, Maya would look back on that Monday as the day she learned how to keep the most wonderful secret in the world. The secret of falling in love with someone who brought you coffee every Friday, who made you laugh during boring meetings, who held your hand in the rain and made you believe in happy endings. Eventually, they would tell their co-workers. Eventually, there would be office parties where David could spin her around the dance floor without anyone raising eyebrows. Eventually, there would be a wedding, where Maya would joke in her speech about how sometimes the best relationships start with the most awkward hotel bookings. But that Monday, walking to her car in the ordinary city evening, Maya was perfectly happy to keep their secret a little longer. Some stories, she thought, were worth protecting while they were still brand new. After all, the best things in life were often the most unexpected ones.